Hello and welcome back to Fast Gadgets. So today I thought I would talk about 10 reasons why I'm glad I bought the late model 2015 MacBook Pro instead of the new one. So we've all heard about the new MacBook Pro and how awesome it is and everything that it can do. You know, I guess it's all relative, isn't it? Personally, I'm actually glad I didn't buy it. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump right in. So I've got my trusty MacBook Pro 2015 right here, and there's actually many reasons why I'm glad I purchased this particular unit. So I'm just going to go through them, and you tell me what you think. First, I actually jumped there, didn't I? I'm really happy with the keyboard that I have in my current MacBook Pro. I did try the new butterfly style keyboard, I think it's called, on the MacBook, and honestly I can pretty much type on anything. I'm really good at typing, so it's not an issue. But in far as preference points go, I really do prefer the older keyboard and the overall travel and tactile feel that it has compared to the new keyboard. And I realize it's version 2 on the MacBook, but we all know what this particular keyboard is like, and I found that the travel on these keys is so much nicer, and it's just a more tactile experience for me, and it's so much easier for me to type on this keyboard. I could live with the other keyboard, but if I don't have to, I'm going to go with this one preferentially. So that's number one. Number two, I use the ports that I have available right now on this system. So, you know, there are many ports that we need and many we don't need. And I know that the USB-C standard is going to take over. So there's going to be some change coming in the future. And someday I will buy a system that has USB-C, but today isn't the day. I still use all the ports that are available on this system, and I really do like that. And one of the things I really like about this particular MacBook Pro is I have the ability, and even on my PCs I don't have this, I have a full-sized, see if I can get to it, HDMI, which you already know, of course. This is the MacBook Pro 2015 late model 13.3 or 13-inch edition. And I do like that HDMI port. I can take my system with me into a school, and I can hook it directly in, and I can use the system and showcase it on a projector right while I'm working, which I really enjoy. And I still need the older USB type ports. And I realize I could buy dongles, and I would be perfectly fine with all the dongles. Would I be perfectly fine? No, I wouldn't. I really don't want to pay for the dongles. I'm happy I don't have to. It's possible I may have to get a dongle or some type of adapter to go from the older USB to USB-C for a little while until I go out and buy another computer, but that's going to be quite a while. Number 3, and this is personal preference, I don't really care about the LED touch bar, and I don't really want it. Now, some of you may say it's really cool, and it's fair also to say that I haven't even used it, so how can I say that? I'm just saying preferentially that given the information that I have available to me now to see how it works and what it might do for me, I don't feel it would really help me. So I really don't care about this particular feature. And there's another reason why I wouldn't care about the feature, and that's the price it costs to get it. We're going to have a little fun and do some specking out of MacBooks and have a look at the pricing in just a minute. So, you know, this feature actually, when I think of PCs, so I've got this Lenovo Yoga. How often do I actually do the 360-degree hinge flip and turn it into a tablet? Well, as it happens, less than I thought I would. So maybe 2 or 3% of the time. And the main reason is because Microsoft had a great idea with Windows 8, 8.1, and Windows 10 to have the tablet interface. And it actually does work really well, but app support is dismal. So that's a feature I find that I almost never use. So what I did, and I'm shooting on my Lenovo right now, is I actually went ahead and put a case on my Lenovo. So I have a hard case, hard cover on the top and the bottom so it doesn't get scratched. I never flip it over, and it's not because of the covers, it's because I just don't. As a tablet, I really don't feel it's that awfully useful. And even if it was running Android, I still probably would not use it very much, quite frankly, in tablet mode. So I bought this particular device. The whole 360 hinge to me is somewhat of a gimmick to get you to believe that if you buy this particular system, it's a feature you just can't live without. But we usually buy the system because it has a keyboard and it functions as a laptop. If we needed a tablet, we probably would buy a tablet. Will that change in the future with all-in-ones? Yes, it might. And I call it an all-in-one, which I don't want you to get confused with a PC all-in-one, which means all the components are built into the monitor, essentially, except for the keyboard and mouse. What I mean is this one can basically do everything. It can, not this one, but my Lenovo can do tent mode and tablet mode and, you know, display mode and presentation mode and all that good stuff. Okay? So I just don't need the touch bar. It's not worth $400 to me. There's only marginal improvement on the Retina display. I know what you're going to say. No, you don't understand. It's really bright now and it's vibrant and it spans the entire color gamut. I can see it being important to be able to span the entire color gamut if you're doing very intricate photo editing and you need to have something that's precise and accurate every single time, guaranteed. So when you create that photo, edit it in Photoshop, and you select a color, you know the color is correct and you can see it with your eye and it's what you want. I don't need to worry about any of that. I'm terrible. When I edit my videos, I look at it and I say, well, am I white balanced? I hope so. I mean, that's terrible, right? But, you know, I don't concern myself too much with it, okay? That's my opinion. You take it for what it is. So this system I have now, I'm not encouraged to go out and buy a new one because it's brighter and has more nits. I'm really not sure why Apple did not choose to go ahead and put in a 4K display. Now they've got 4K displays in the iMac and they have 5K and 4K, if I'm not mistaken, monitors, and possibly, I don't know much about the iMac line, a 5K also. If they really wanted to up the ante and beat out the competition, why didn't they put in a 4K display? Why this slightly evolutionary, and Johnny Ives says it all the time, it's an evolution. Well, what is evolution? It's not a revolution. It's not vast, sweeping change. It's slightly layered changes on top of what we already had. We don't want to upset too many people with making too many changes, so we stick with what we know and we make it slightly better. Now, one thing I can say, probably the lower resolution non-4K display more than likely doesn't drain the battery as quickly. So that's probably something to consider. All right, let's continue. Number 5, pricing. Holy cow. What were they thinking? So I'm just curious. Let's buy one. Okay, so I clicked buy. Yoo-hoo. Looks like the interwebs are slow today. I say, you know what? I'm interested in the 13-inch. Well, you can get the 2 gigahertz processor with 256 gigabytes of storage. Don't even get me started. The base model hasn't improved the storage capacity at all, so you can still only get 256 gigabytes of storage. And I just want to say for the record, I really like Macs, so I'm more beating up on the thinking here. We're going to give you a slower processor, and yes, it is 6th gen. Okay, it's Skylake. and 256 gigabytes of storage, but it actually is posting about the same as this 13-inch MacBook. If you check Mobile Tech Reviews, Lisa Gade does an awesome job of reviewing the older and the newer MacBook, and she shows some of the performance differences. There's not a whole lot on the base model. $14.99. Now, if I scroll down, they still have for sale the older Retina system, and it's a 2.7 gigahertz. Starts at 128 gigabytes of storage, but if you boost it up to 256, let's find out. So if I do select, let's see if we can make some changes. Let's change capacity and see what happens. Well, I don't need the i7. I don't need 16 gigabytes. We're trying to do apples and oranges, so it actually increases the price by 200 to $14.99. So what was our base price at $256 on the previous one? $14.99. So it basically boosts the price up to exactly the same price for both units. Personally, I guess I would have expected this one to be a little bit more, so that's reasonable. I guess I was thinking that for this price, though, we would see an increase in storage. Theoretically, anyway, as time goes on, the cost of delivering greater storage becomes less expensive just for the fact that we're mass producing more and more of it. So I really would have expected that price to drop quite a bit. I do notice also that this model only uses 1866 megahertz memory, and I'm wondering if it's DDR3. If any of you know, go ahead and drop a line. Give me a comment, let me know. Actually, I'm not sure on that. This one I'm pretty sure is DDR4. So I'm going to assume that that's actually DDR4. It's just a little bit slower. It just says 1866 megahertz. If we want a 1 terabyte PCIe based SSD, a whopping $600. Can this be real? So if I did want to make this more appreciable for me, I'll put in the 2.4 gigahertz i7 processor. I'm not really worried about the RAM, and I want the 512 gigabyte. I'm now looking at $2,000. Now, if you watch my videos, I'm going to leave a link in the description. I have a video called The MacBook Pro Killer is Coming. Take a look at it and tell me what you think. There's a system coming out from Lenovo that I personally think, if it's not already out at this time, the Lenovo Yoga 910. Beautiful system. Way cheaper. Way cheaper. And when I say cheap, I don't mean in build, I mean in price. It is a full unibody metal chassis. Has all the ports you'll need, in my opinion. More than enough memory storage, 4K display, the whole ball of wax. Beautiful system. Okay, so to me the pricing is a bit out of whack, and for the base model I would hate to pay that much more than I would the older previous generation base model. All right. Number 6. I can still use on my current system, and this probably will be the case for several years yet, the current version of Mac OS. Just recently, Mac OS, the newest version, Sierra, now does not function on 2008 iMacs and MacBook Pros. So these systems have been supported for 8 years. 8 years you can install them on the current operating system. So I have a MacBook Pro 2008 still running El Capitan. I've got an iMac 2008 running El Capitan. They're both doing wonderful. So even there, those systems are still going to be supported on that OS for years to come yet. How much did I pay for the MacBook Pro? Well, about $150. So that's something to think about. All right, number 7. I really love the MagSafe connector. I know you guys have heard a lot about it, but I'm a complete and utter klutz. And using the MagSafe connector has saved my butt time and time and time again. I am terrified. I kind of thought about getting just the MacBook originally, but then I saw the pricing on the MacBook Pro 13-inch. I thought, why would I get the MacBook? So thin, it's port challenged, it only has one port, and those USB-C ports look so fragile. I'm terrified that if I accidentally pull down on the cable, maybe get it caught somewhere, and damage that port, then what do? You send it in to get it repaired. How much will it be? $500 to $600? The only answer is to put in a brand new circuit board, so it'd be the entire motherboard technically. I mean, I haven't opened it up, but that's what I'm thinking. So I find the MagSafe connector for me is totally awesome, and I really would have to have that. All right, number 8. I don't really like this massive touchpad. You know what I think's going on here? They keep saying how you can do so many more gestures with this new touchpad. And what that means to me is they're basically saying, we don't have a touch screen. And I can't remember which Apple executive said it, but they said the reason they don't use a touch screen is because it's not necessary for users. They wouldn't find it useful as a tool. The touch bar was much better. The new touch bar they created. I'm going to go back, by the way. I guess that's apples and oranges. If that was true, then we don't need a touchpad that's this big. Now, I've heard it has really good palm rejection, which is absolutely awesome. And I want to look at the 15-inch here. So I'm going to click on select, and we're going to play with the settings in just a few minutes and have a look at it. But really, I just don't see the point in having this particular touchscreen, touch LED, and having this massive touchpad. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think I'm going to, maybe I'll do some gestures, but if that was the case, why can't I do it on the screen? Some of my favorite gestures on the screen is pinch and zoom, and you know what I'm talking about. Pinch to shrink, zoom to expand an image on a Windows system. Those are really awesome. I really like those. And on Android, I would really like to be able to do that. They put in this tiny little LED bar, which, as I understand, requires an ARM processor. Why not update the screen? They cannot tell me it's because the screen is too thin. That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we've got MacBooks. We've got PCs like the Lenovo's and Dell's and HP's that are thin, and quite frankly, you still have a touchscreen. The new Lenovo Yoga 910 is thinner by 6 millimeters. 6/10 of a millimeter. It's 14.3 millimeters, and they still have a touchscreen, and it's a unibody chassis just like this one. All right, let's keep going. Got a couple more here. Now, I'm getting down to 9 and 10 here, so I just wanted to put these in and talk about them. I really like the glowing Apple icon. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's iconic. It really says something. And I understand that with the thinness, maybe they weren't able to actually put in that particular feature. I just don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe overall it's just the thinness. It could be. But I like it. And it's gone, and I hope it's not gone forever, but it's kind of looking that way. And it's interesting because there are people that are actually, they took their iPhones, at the very least, and they etched out the MacBook logo and put in white plastic themselves to set it up so they would have the glowing interface, which I think is really cool. The MacBook Air has it. Just saying. Okay. The older model, per Lisa Gade at Mobile Tech Reviews, has a larger battery than the newer model, and we're talking about the 13-inch. So presumably I should get more time on my battery. And I say presumably because hopefully there were architectural improvements in design that make the system run that much better and manage its power that much better that it actually will run longer. The champion is still the MacBook Air. Apple wants to poo-poo the MacBook Air, but in my personal opinion, it's one of the best laptops they've produced. It's thin, it's light, the battery life is amazing, and the model I have is a 2014 i7. This thing still outperforms my 2015 MacBook Pro i5. So it's a very capable performing system. It has more than enough memory. It basically does all the things that I need it to do, and I actually like it quite a bit. Now, I did buy this for my wife, so I try to steal it and play with it from time to time, but it really was for her. It has that wonderful keyboard. It's backlit. It has plenty of ports available to it. I know people complain about the screen resolution. I have looked at it and I've used it, and personally I love it. I think it works great. In its own way, it is very crisp. So it has a lower resolution and it doesn't really have a great field of view, so when you turn it at angles, but the system itself, I really don't have any complaints. It really has everything I like about it, and of course the MagSafe. So if weight is your real concern and you want to reduce the price of your first MacBook, why not go with the MacBook Air? It's a great system. And again, this one is the champion in battery life. So those are my 10 reasons why I bought the MacBook Pro 2015, and I'm really glad that I did. Performance, compared to the base model is just ever so slight, and I'm really happy with the performance that I'm getting out of my current late model 2015. So you really won't get many complaints from me. I do very basic gameplay, so I enjoy the gameplay that I do on the MacBook. It seems to run just fine. Again, I'm not playing the latest titles in the highest resolution. So I do think, and some of you may disagree with this, but to me this is a really good base price for the 2015 model. You get the increased storage. You still have 8 gigabytes of RAM, but you do get the 2.9 gigahertz dual core i5, which I think is excellent. Again, this feature here, I'm not going to beat up on Apple about the LED touch bar because it's kind of, like the 360 feature, making your laptop into a tablet. I don't think many people do that. Some do, and I do sometimes too. What if I really wanted to stoke this baby? Let's give it an i7, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte PCIe based SSD. Wow. Can it go any higher? Well, I mean, if I put in the software, I'm not going to include the software. So this looks like it's about the best I can get. I'm sure we could configure something even better. I just haven't tried, but it looks like, at least on the website, this is the best configuration you can get. So let's look at the 15-inch model. We'll start with the 2.7 gigahertz, which starts at $27.99. That's quite an ouch to me for the 15-inch model. And $23.99, I guess it all depends on what you want to do, but let's select it and see what our pricing is looking at on this particular model. I really like a lighter system, and the 15-inch really isn't that bad on the newer one as far as weight goes. But let's check out some processor changes. So we can go up to a quad-core 2.9, which will add $200. We can go up to a 2 terabyte PCIe-based SSD. And if you're using this for professional use, I could see doing that. Radeon Pro 460 with 4 gigs of memory. It's only $100. To me, that one, total no-brainer. You're going to do it. We don't concern ourselves with the pre-installed software, and Wow, you can get different keyboard types. That's really nice at no additional cost. Total price for this 15-inch, $4,299. That definitely puts a massive dent in the pocketbook. At that price break point, you could buy a pretty nice used car, or it could be a healthy down payment on something like a house. I'm thinking you would have to have money to burn. I really do. And that's probably the case too. It's probably within the realm of pricing for the older model too. So, but the 2 terabyte SSD I think is a new thing. But to put it in perspective, so you want a 1 terabyte PCIe based SSD. Well, the system I'm working on right now is the Lenovo Yoga 2 Pro. It is an i7, 5th gen, I think. And it has 8 gigabytes of RAM. And I recently put in a 1 terabyte SSD, and it cost me $289. So it's hard for me to justify this type of purchase. And the other thing that bothers me, I went around looking on this MacBook. I thought, you know what, I think I'll just get a 256. I actually upgraded it. It was 128, but I upgraded it to the 256 model. And I got some really great discounts on it. I got a teacher discount. I had another coupon for $150 off. So I got a really good price on it, and I thought, you know what, I'll just go ahead and get the 256 gigabyte model. It's a little tight on storage when I do editing, so I frequently have to change out. I'll move files over to a 128 gigabyte USB 3 USB. So I've got this really tiny one that I use, the SanDisk Cruiser Ultra Fit, which is really nice. It barely sticks out of the computer, and it's really fast, really fast, so I really like that. Or I'll put it on a portable hard drive, which works just as well. But the fact is, I looked around because I wanted to buy a, not necessarily a 1 terabyte, maybe a 512 gigabyte PCIe, and they are extremely expensive. Even ones that are not Apple, they're going for about $600, and well, $400 to $600. But the main reason was apparently these laptops take a proprietary SSD, so you can't just put any SSD in like you can with a PC. And we've pretty much all known that, with Macs, that is one of the issues, is upgradability and how you're going to do it. And many say you're going to have to buy what you want. So if you want 1 terabyte of storage, you're going to have to go ahead and buy it. Yeah, you'll probably pay $100, but the likelihood that you're going to find the correct SSD and it's going to work for you and it's going to be less than this, it might be a little bit less, but it probably isn't worth it. So that's quite a pretty penny to pay for a new MacBook Pro. And if you get on a payment plan, wow, it's like getting a used car. I mean, you're going to be paying that baby off for a long time. What really cracks me up, and this is just opinion, is how many people are selling these things, not the new ones, but older ones, online. Even the MacBooks, the new 2016 model, and they want $800, and they are beat to heck. Bent frames, cracked corners on every corner. It's like people don't take care of their technology anymore. Now, this particular MacBook and all of my computers is encased in carbonite. Of course, that's a joke. It's just a clear case that I have. It's a hard case, which is really nice. So unless I drop this at a considerable distance, it's not very likely that I'm going to get a dent or a crack on it or damage to it. It's going to absorb most of that impact. And it really does not appreciably increase the thickness or the weight on this particular system. So to me, it's well worth doing. And, if I want to sell this in the future, I kept the box and all the materials with it. So, I could sell this and I can say it's like new. It's in mint condition, and that's how I sell my stuff. So, it just makes sense to me to put a case on your system, especially if you want to sell it in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. Curious to hear what your opinions are. like and subscribe, and share if you would, if you think this video was useful, or any of the other videos you've seen on this channel were useful. Drop me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you, as always, for subscribing if you have. I really appreciate the support, and I will continue to try to pump out content that's useful to you, and will be at least educational, if not kind of fun. All right, see you next time.